The presentation in this DVD epigrammatically refers to the Egyptian ritual that depicts the rising of the dead in the light of day. It is a mystery that takes place every year during the Nausa Carnival period in Macedonia, Greece, and refers to the memory of the dead king Alexander the Great. It is an event that possesses all the characteristics that depict the ancient Egyptian perception about the ascension of the souls to the surface world. The ritualistic structure of this event, as well as the clothing and the procession of the mystery, are identical to those described and defined in the Egyptian Bible of the Dead, as well as in the Egyptian mysteries. This Alexandrian ritual managed to survive intact throughout the centuries and overcame the expected multi-leveled cultural conflict of the Macedonian paganists with the scholastic Christianity. Christianity constituting the dominant power in this region, and especially in an area with rich paganistic cultural legacy, often absorbed such ancient customs or eliminated them completely, often using rather violent means to do so. Those customs and beliefs, deeply rooted in the people's conscience, were being demonized. During the Ottoman dominance, and due to the cultural conflict with the Christians, facing the impending danger of the alteration or even the total disappearance of the mystery, we have its conveyance from the Macedonian city of the dead called Nekus. Nek stands for dead in ancient Greek, to the Turkish city of Augustos, which today is called Nausa. Important factor for transferring the mystery to this specific city was the fact that both Nekus and Nausa had a river crossing them, which is called Arapitsa. The river forms a basic element for an Egyptian funeral as well as the revival of the Egyptian mystery. Also, it should be noted that Egypt is called Arapia by the Macedones. Consequently, by naming the river of Nausa Arapitsa, the name conveys to us its metaphorical meaning that this is the corresponding river of Egypt. This city constituted the main Christian center for Macedonia at the time. Some of the natives of the area today still call Nausa Nekus because of the existence of the mystery in it. During its transfer to this town, the mystery had to change the time period during which it was performed. As a result, it was incorporated to the Christian version for the ascension of the souls to the upper world, which is the period of the carnival. The main concern of those initiated to the mystery was the preservation of the rituals. The Turks, from their part, in order to allow the ritual to take place, had to give oral permission to the mystery's performers that were coming to town to participate in its revival. With the sun rising from the horizon, the Egyptian musician, the master of ceremonies, with his musical instruments, the zurnas, being accompanied by a dauli, drum, will start the quest and the awakening of the dead in the city streets. The dead, after being given the permission to rise into the daylight, being tuned to the music, he shakes to the right and left, which means that he accepts the call and has risen from the dead to join the ceremony. His hands are in a praying position towards the sky, which relates to the Egyptian religion in which the god Anubis, the god of the dead, ascribed the resurrection position thus, with this phrase: "Wake up, you were given your head, your bones are reconnected, your limbs belong to you again, shake the dust off you." During this process, women will also be collected and become part of the ceremony. These women are performed by men due to the fact that women in the ancient period did not take part in the mysteries. In the beginning of the previous century, the number of the members, both men and women, that participated in the mystery was very specific, and according to the tradition was the exact number of the persons who escorted the dead king Alexander to his tomb. In nowadays, this composition of the members' number is no longer followed. Many variations occurred during the last half century with the addition of small children to the mystery. Significant changes occurred concerning the women's presence in the mystery. By reducing the number of the women as well as changing the structure of their uniform, which was white, much like a bride's. The exalting posture that the dead of the mystery assume, with their hands rising to the sky, symbolizes the resurrection, and in the Egyptian religion it is depicted in the Egyptian cross. The posture of the constant rising of the hands to the sky, which consists the main theme of expression during the whole mystery, is clearly defined by Egyptology and referred to as follows: the hands that rise towards the sky from all sides express far better than mere words this glorious resurrection. Each time a resurrected member comes in contact with other members, they shake hands, hopping up and down, confirming this way their ethereal state. This aerial or unworldly condition will be constantly confirmed and accentuated by the dancers during the various procedures of the mystery. As soon as the collection of the dead is completed, the pageant which is formed is driven by the musician in the midday to a western anti-clockwise tour, which the dancers have to fulfill, and symbolizes the course of rising from the underworld, and has to start west of the sky and finish with an eastern direction. The Egyptian Bible very specifically mentions that the course of life that the dead experience in the underworld is such that he will always enter from the west of the sky and exit from the east. At every stop that is being held static anti-clockwise, dances are being performed. The total number of stops that will take place during this anti-clockwise cyclical turn is 7. These stops presumably take place in the world of the dead, and this fact is expressed by the dancers that wear their ritual death mask and the cobra-shaped headband. The route of the ritual as well as the exact position of the stops are predefined and inviolable by the strict ritual that is followed during the second phase of the mystery. The stops are always being held in the conjunction of 3 roads, called triode. This is because the ancient Egyptians believed that in the underworld there were 7 temples, and each of these temples had 3 gates that the dead had to pass through during his transit through each temple. Between the 4th and the 5th stop, the bullies, as they call the mummies today, which is a Slavic term for larvae that emerge from their cocoons like winged butterflies, will cross over the river, something that only happens during this particular part of their cyclical course. Beyond the river of Arapica, the 5th stop will take place in the southern section of the city. The Egyptians believed that as in the world of the living there was the great river Nile, so there was its counterpart in the underworld that courses through the domain of the dead, and this river the dead were obliged to cross. The final phase of the resurrection of the dead is being performed just before sunset, with the completion of the 7th stop in the eastern part of the city. The ritual enters the phase of the emergence of the dead from the underworld, following a complete east-oriented route leading to the westernmost part of the city. In the west is where the dead are presumed to live. The phantoms of history in pairs now are passing through the gates of their underworld, and as they emerge they will take off their death masks and their cobra-like headbands, assuming their human forms once again. The musical themes of the mystery are performed in 2 musical rhythms, 4/4 time and 11/8 time. The 4/4 rhythm is performed in a slow manner which signifies the march through the underworld, during which the dancers hold their swords upside down. 11/8 rhythm is performed in a faster way by the musicians. It signifies the joyful rebirth, and the dancers now hold their sword by the grip and clash them in the air.